All right, everyone, it's that time of the week again when we welcome that wonderful man over from that wonderful podcast, Gig Pod. Hello, Stephen. How are things?
Good, yeah. I'm far better this week, so your viewers won't need to see a almost deathly ill guy sitting holding in a cough on the right hand side. I'm pretty much fully recovered now, so I'm sure everybody's turning off at this point. I think they hoped I would be dead, Hamish.
Jeez, that's a hell of a start.
But it's
A very
true. Come
dark
on, let's
start.
tell it. Ah,
Yeah.
come on. You were hoping it as well.
Anyway, this is the Thursday video on Celtic AM. I'm not sure why we're starting with Stevie potentially not being here. I don't know what I would do without you, mate. I don't know what I'd do without you. I don't know what the wonderful viewers would do without you as well. Right, what are we chatting about? What do you want to start with? 'Cause I've got two things on my agenda. Did no
Did
get an
no get
agenda.
an agenda. Love that. Love
Brilliant. That
that.
wasn't even scripted, everyone.
Uh,
It's going to be a fun video. Right, Cameron Carter-Vickers, fitness, and also the new kit. One good bit of news that you'll probably find a way to moan about, and another bit of news that I know you'll find a way to moan about. So what bit of news do you want to moan about first? You're now muted, I think.
I was just saying, you're still thinking about the bad news, aren't you? We'll go with it. We'll go with the good news. We'll go with the good news. Let's talk about our imperious leader in chief, CCV. Well, he's leader in CCV's absence, and he's back again. But for for God knows how long, because it feels like we've had so many of these throughout the season.
Yeah.
I think CCV was even missing against St Johnstone. The game at Celtic Park, we drew 0-0 with them. I'm delighted he's back, and it just feels like it's a very stop-start season, isn't it, Hamish? It's like that. It's like we're getting players back, and then thinking they're going to make a difference, and it's as a unit. There's still like a problem in that squad, but it is welcome to potentially have CCV there instead of Stephen Welsh, because let's be honest, Liam Scales is going to be playing, isn't he? But we cannot have Welsh and Scales again this season. That is, it just can't happen again. So I'm all for a half fit CCV instead of a fully fit Stephen Welsh at this point, and I mean that with no serious disrespect to that.
Yeah, the chat about Carter-Vickers, he did of course miss the cup tie against Livingston at the weekend due to a precaution, or as a precaution, after feeling his hamstring twinge during a training session the day before. He's had a scan. Brendan Rodgers effectively given him the all clear. Rodgers quoted as saying, "I think he should be fine." I spoke to Cam at length. He just feels everything is based from around his knee operation, and then also when you have picked up a few injuries from that, maybe from what is a normal twinge, you get that sensation and think it's linked to another injury. Thankfully, it doesn't seem that. We've had the scan, which has come through fine. So from that, he'll be fit enough to return against St Johnstone, which is, as you say, Stevie, obviously good news. Carter-Vickers is a crucial player for us. We're going to, in my opinion, have to have him around for the run-in to be successful. I just think you look at the weekend, without him and that state of that defence, it's happened, on numerous occasions since he's been at the club. When Carter-Vickers doesn't play, not only do you miss Carter-Vickers, but I think the players who play are worse off for him not being there, if that makes sense. Like, I think he makes players better. He improves Stephen Welsh when he plays next to Stephen Welsh. He improves Narotsky. He improves Liam Scales. When Carter-Vickers isn't there, these guys are kind of just left to their own devices. So great news he's back, and we're just hoping everything goes fine. I mean, I guess you're concerned because he keeps getting these kind of worries, and without being a doctor, I'm pretty sure if you have something up with your knee and surgery on something like your knee like he's had, quite often it isn't actually the knee that gives you issues, it's the kind of muscles around it. There's loads of people probably shaking their head and going, what are you talking about? But I think they call it begins with C word, I think. It's not a composite injury, but it's something like that. I think when the other muscles basically are kind of weakened or something like that, or you're putting more strain on them because you're... Stevie, come in here please before I embarrass myself with any more medical terms.
I'm going to assume that they still show Casualty over in Australia, mate. I can take even watching that on a Saturday night.
Any more of years and you'll be gone to Casualty.
Hey, what a life. With CCV, you know how highly I rate him. I can be a negative and critical man, but when it comes to thanks for that. When it comes to CCV, I've always said he's an imperious defender. He's such a great leader, and he's one of the best defenders I've seen at Celtic. Inspires so much confidence, not only in the players, that's a given, but when the fans, like you put Cameron Carter-Vickers in that team. I'm not just talking about this season, but you put him into the hardest of games under Ange, and automatically you just felt, there was a real assuredness and a real belief that as long as he's in that team, he's at the back, just to, not only for his defending, but the way that he carries that ball out, and he's a fantastic communicator as well. Hamish got a great relationship with that defence. He's the best there is. So automatically, that's just going to give everybody a lift, and I think what we need getting into these last 9 games or so in the league is just a lift. We need belief. We all need to believe as a fan base, and it's been really tough this season. But a fit CCV, I'm not saying it makes everything better, because we saw CCV against Hearts twice, and we've lost both games. Saw CCV against Johnstone when we put in one of the all-time Hall of Shamers up at McDiarmid Park already. But I'm not blaming him. It's down to a collective effort with the team. The team itself.
Yeah.
There's not,
He's not Superman.
Aye, exactly. And I'm at the point where, even with Henrik Larsson as well, if you were to put him at his peak in this Celtic team as well, he'd be like, where's the service? Where am I getting anything from? Gone are the days when Agat and Tomo would get to the byline, whip it in, he knew where to be. Like, in this Celtic team, you've got a guy like Kyogo, whose movement is exceptional. He's a great finisher, and he's in this Celtic team, and he's looking around and going, where is the service here? I'm having to feed off it. Can you imagine what Henry would be like? I mean, I'm imagining, though. I give anything to have a player, anywhere near him in the Celtic team, But I'm hoping that the CCV's injuries are at an end. Whether they will be or not, Hamish, remains to be seen, because one of the things I've been critical this season about is Brendan Rodgers and Celtic have been not very honest when it comes to players coming back from injury. I remember, first off, at the first game of the season, Ross County, the one you were at, I remember saying before it, when we were talking, like, is he definitely going to be fit in time? Because it was a serious layoff they had for the injury, and then all of a sudden, remember he didn't really get a pre-season, didn't he not? He was just like flubbed.
Only played the Bilbao game, didn't he? That was the only one.
And then he's thrown right back into that side against Ross County, that first 10-15 minutes, and you're like, we don't look the same. He doesn't look the same, and then Aberdeen, he gets that injury. But yeah, it's just felt like I'm not just saying CCV, I'm talking about even Hatate, Maeda and Abada when they've been missing long term. I think Brendan's made it out doom and gloom that they're going to be out for far longer. Then all of a sudden you just hear in the press conference, I think Rio will be good for this weekend, he'll be on the bench. Like that Rangers game was a prime example. Didn't think he was going to be back until like after the January break, just wee things like that. So CCV, if he's anywhere near 100%, has to be playing this weekend. But then it gets me thinking, as much as Livingston away is a big game, I wouldn't be risking him before Ibrox, against Livingston. I wouldn't be doing that. That gives me the fear. So I'll maybe let you come in that one. I'm maybe thinking too far ahead when we should just be focusing on St Johnstone. But that's what I worry about with CCV.
Yeah, I think for a lot of players, like if it was Mike Naropsky, for example, I'd be saying, he needs games before Ibrox. And that may be true about Carter-Vickers, to an extent. But for me, Carter-Vickers and McGregor are probably the only two that you could maybe throw in at Ibrox, having not played the week previous, and they'd be fine because they're just so important to the team, and they're so able, I think, to just step in and immediately hit their level. I think ideally you would have them playing this weekend, Livingston and Ibrox, but yeah, on that pitch with this thing, that's going to be an interesting one to watch, I think, when we come to that match. What if I give you Stephen Welsh, Mike Nawrocki, Gustav Lagerbielke and Liam Scales. Who you wanting to partner Cameron Carter-Vickers?
At this point, it's a wee bit of a risk because I don't think Lagerbielke has played with CCV like Nawrocki has at the start of the season.
Yeah.
It just can't. It can't be Liam Scales, and I just feel, I think what we're seeing for Liam Scales earlier in the season was that purple patch, but now, and in the last 5-6 games, he's been appalling. Who am I going to go with? I would, if they're all fit, I would go with Nawrocki, and even then, I've got my concerns about him, Hamish.
Yeah, I think it will be Liam Scales. I think Rodgers, really likes Scales, and I think if everyone's fit, certainly for the rest of this season, he'll go with Carter-Vickers and Scales. But yeah, Nawrocki and Carter-Vickers is the one I would want to see. We'll wait and see. Just in regards to other injury stuff, Callum McGregor and Rio Hatate obviously still out for this weekend. Lewis Palma also going to miss the match, Stevie. We touched on this yesterday. He has picked up an injury, but it's not a bad one. It's enough to keep him out of the St Johnstone game. However, he's going away with Honduras, so clearly he'll be back for us hopefully after the international break. The other thing I should have mentioned by Carter-Vickers is that he hasn't been included in the US squad for the international break. Hasn't been included, so that's good news as far as we're concerned.
Mm-hmm. Very good news. I had a fear about that. Getting wrist over there, and how many times have we seen in the past like these? Well, Hatate earlier on, he's not played a lot of game time for Celtic this season. He could have been a really crucial player for us this year. Goes over with Japan and he's out for weeks again. So yeah, delighted to hear that, because I think the words I was getting from Brendan Rodgers was that he very well could have went with the international side. So I'm glad to hear that. I think we at this stage, and I know that the club will think differently, because the more international footballers, the more assets you've got and the more money you'll make. But at this point for us, I'd be delighted if hardly any of our players were featured in any international games. Don't care about the aspect of as a business or that. That's not why we're football fans. Just want to see the best players available for and the team to be at their best.
Right, Stevie, if I said then, now, always, what would come to your mind? Is it you moaning, perhaps?
me getting my 9 o'clock doubler roll every morning as well. No, let me guess, you're going to throw me under the bus here and get me to whine and complain about Celtic fleecing the fans with our latest effort.
Perhaps, yeah. I mean, Celtic brought out the Adidas Celtic FC Irish Origins collection earlier this week. Yeah, if you need a wee bit of extra money, go down the old Irish roots. That's what we've found from Celtic over the past couple of seasons now with regards to a fifth kit this year. Crazy stuff. Anyway, if you missed all this, have a wee look at this.
Proud Irish origins.
Celebrate our connection. Then, now and always.
An sin, Anish, agus Igoni.
So, first of all, before we have a wider conversation about Adidas and their relationship with Celtic, I don't know if I like it, to be honest. I'm trying to convince myself that I quite like it the more I look at it. But what do you think of the... What I mean, your ear is close to the ground with these things. So what is the consensus among Gig Pod listeners about the new kits?
I don't know about that. The listeners probably just tune off whenever I'm moaning about it, to be honest. Like, I think I'm probably the lone voice in that, and I don't really see a lot of what to say on X, as you know. I don't look at that. I did look at the Instagram comments, and there's a lot of people that were, negative towards it, but when you look at the number of likes, there's like 50,000 likes, and any moans I do or any people complaining about it, we're totally in the minority. There's no doubt about it. Like, I mean, for all I'm moaning about it, and about maybe 20 odd people like a comment saying you're just fleecing the fans with this latest one, got 50,000 people there just double tapping that and saying I'm going to buy it and I've ordered it, and it's fair enough. I mean, that's again, I'd be a hypocrite. I just want to people who know me and you, Hamish, is you've known me and people know how much I buy the Celtic Adidas gear. So I'm not going to sit here and then criticise others for not doing it. But I mean, I've always, I've generally always done it at a time when Celtic are flying. I'm happy with the club and I'm happy to give them. Wouldn't say I'm happy to always give them money, but I will always try and give them money for the tickets and merchandise and whatever I can. It's still our club at the end of the day. I don't care, who's running it. I don't care. That's another argument, but it's people like us. It's our club. That's why I always will do that. But I just think it's too far in this occasion. And 5 kits in a season. I remember actually last season when we beat Rangers 2-1 in that League Cup final. A day later, I think they brought out like retro gear from the 1997-98 season. It was like a tracksuit top, and they made a big deal out of it. And it was just, despite the fact that everyone was on a high after the first win towards the treble, it was just appalling. It looked terrible, and it was like 100 odd quid, and it was just get lost, get a grip of yourselves. And this one's even worse. They thought they brought out the home kit, which I think is a disgrace this season. They've brought out the away one, the third one, and then the limited one, which was fantastic. I mean, I was right out buying that. That was a great kit, but this one they've brought out, I don't get what they're trying to do. It's just a sheer money grabbing exercise, and I just think the way that they're trying to pay homage or tribute to the Irish connection. I personally, I feel it's pretty patronising towards the Irish fan base. Now, people might not agree with that. It's just the way it comes across. But what else have they done, in the last couple of few years for fans over really in Ireland? They've played one friendly or something against Wales, I think it was.
But because it was called off in South Korea.
Yeah, exactly. And I believe the tickets for that were an absolute fortune too.
Crowd was not great.
Crowd wasn't great, and rightly so. So yeah, I could be wrong, because obviously I don't speak for any fan. Obviously, I just speak for myself. But if you're a fan over in Ireland and you're seeing that and getting your chucked at it, just looks like cheap, tacky quality. And when you're asking fans to shell out more money after what we saw in January and excuses we've had in the last couple of transfer windows, and just the general disdain towards fans when you look what happened with the Green Brigade earlier in the season as well, and how long that rumbled on for. I don't think Celtic do respect their fan base at all. They haven't, in my opinion, for a number of years, whether we're winning, whether we're successful or not. I don't think they care. I think primarily the bottom line for them, Hamish, is ultimately how much money can we get out of this one. So I'm certainly not going to be near that. I would hopefully other people are the same, but as I said at the start, very much in the minority with us, and I expect it to sell pretty well, just like anything Celtic put out now.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt, going to games, you'll see, people wearing this kit. I'll probably see people here walking around from time to time wearing this, because it's like quite a kind of big statement of a kit, and it's bright green, and I think it's going to be a hit with a lot of people. My problem isn't necessarily with this kit on its own. It's just that we've now had 5 kits on sale this season. A way back it used to be 2 kits, and then it became 3. They brought out an alternate one, mainly for when we played Hibs. I remember like the black one we had in like 2005-06. It was great and all that stuff. And then we went to 4 kits, and we had kits suddenly that we didn't actually wear, like that pink kit in 16-17. I know we wore that a couple of times, but not overly. And I remember like a grey one with like a pink bit there that was the worst Celtic kit I've ever seen. I don't think we ever wore in a match, but yet was on sale to fans. And then we've suddenly had this kind of new thing that's going through a lot of clubs. Like Scotland did it and brought out a limited edition kit, and I don't mind that as a one-off. Earlier this season, and as you say, that hooped limited edition kit is like beautiful. It's really, really nice. I think it's a travesty that that's not actually our home kit for this season. But then you have these last year's 4th kit that was brought out around St Patrick's Day, this year's 5th one around the same time, and And it does just come across as, the club wanting, more money from the supporters. I don't think these are kits we're ever going to actually see the team wear. And yeah, I don't know. Clearly, there's been a really positive, positive feedback from the support towards the Celtic Adidas stuff. We'd been waiting, years. For me, Adidas were the one manufacturer I wanted to see Celtic with. It was almost kind of dream stuff a number of years ago. And I think generally there's been a few nice kits, away ones and stuff like that. But I think generally it's been a bit disappointing, and it just seems as if the club are kind of absolutely rinsing, or Adidas, both of them perhaps, are absolutely rinsing the Celtic support for this relationship. I know people will be saying, they're not forcing anyone to buy it. But I just think it's the whole, the look of bringing out 5 kits in one season while supporters are paying for TV packages, season tickets, away days, and the team and the club aren't showing that same want to spend, quite frankly.
Yeah, nailed it for me, Hamish. And as I say, it's just a money grabbing exercise from them. And you're right, nobody, the club aren't forcing anyone to buy it. But I do believe we are firmly in the minority. As I say, I really hope not to come across as a hypocrite with it all, because of how much, I've in the past I've went all in to quote a certain tifo back in 2016 with that gear. But yeah, it's been getting pretty disappointing just with the Adidas merchandise. And what I would say is, I think the reason Adidas target Celtic so much is because they probably see the figures and we're doing better than most clubs. I mean, you look down south, Man United, Arsenal off the top of my head, or Adidas, and you don't really see like a lot of down there their fans all get out and kicking about and it's flying off the shelves there. But whereas you look at Celtic fans and how much I've said they fund the club, it's all through merchandise. They're the sole revenue for this football club, and Adidas will see that and go, they're just obsessed. Let's see what we can get away with here. So unfortunately, I don't think it will ever change. I don't think me and you talking about it on here is going to make a difference. It's all right to have an opinion, but we're never going to change because it's going to sell well and they'll continue to do it. In Celtic, whether we like it or not, they operate as a business first and a football club second, whereas we see Celtic as a football club and then a business, and that's where the whole conflict is with those that run the club and the fans, and it's never going to change here. But I'd imagine next season we'll see the same again. Who knows? We might even get 6 kits.
Well, that's it. Where's the line drawn? Just put my address in, card details, and order. That should be with me in about 6 months. Right, anything else, Stevie? We've got a good old visit of Craig Levine's St Johnstone on Saturday. That'll be fun.
Oh, can't wait. He plays really exciting football. Always sets his teams up to have a go at Celtic Park. Doesn't he just sit back and hope for a trap? No. Nah, that'll be...
We're going to win though, aren't we? We're going to go top of the league.
Sorry, I dozed off there. Just thought about Craig Levine. I'm not giving up. I'm not doing any predictions anymore after my Livingston win, where I said it should be a comfortable win and just have to hopefully turn up and see the team do well. It was anything but. I am officially giving up with any predictions now, Hamish. I'm not doing that anymore. So we should win, but we've seen already against St Johnstone. I know it was meant to be a one-off when we'd put in a disaster class against them in August and drew 0-0. In fact, they could have nicked it at the very end. That was a game as well that it was when I started realising, Lagerbielke might not cut it for just how slow he was. I remember Stevie May, one rapid past him. I'm turning to Charlie Nicholas, sitting there thinking, going, what have we done here? What have we spent this money on?
Towing a caravan.
But then, and then you see Stephen Welsh and you're like, what have we really got to lose? We're giving him a go. He's turned into one of these players that he's actually turned into a world-class centre-half among the fans just by not playing. So, that's just some wee memory there, Hamish. God, I love this. Is a real laugh, isn't it? We should win. Will we? Yeah. I don't know. I just don't know.
Chance to go top of the league, of course, on Saturday. Carter-Vickers hopefully back, as we say, so potentially reasons to be excited. We'll get to see Nicholas Kuhn again in action. He looked good at the weekend. Really needs to back that up with a performance. Maybe Kyogo will be back in the starting lineup. I know we disagree a little bit on whether he will be or not. I think he will. You think it'll probably be Ida. We'll have to wait and see on Saturday. And yeah, we go into an international break after that. So it's really the last push. 3 points are a must. We can't afford anything to be dropped there. And then we move forward.
Can I just say, and I know me and you always hate international breaks. I know it's the last one, but do you think this is maybe the first time in a long while that we're actually going to be welcoming an international break? It's a chance to get some players back. It's a chance to be reset for, to the end of the season.
Yeah.
How many times have we said that? Reset, fucking Vida reset, but it's true. I mean, it's
the great reset.
what a page. Yeah, this is the first international break I think in the last few years I'm actually looking forward to.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd go as far as saying I'm looking forward to it, but I think for the team it's a good thing. It's not as if we're like picking up any real momentum and then it's going to be halted by the break. I mean, we could go out and beat St Johnstone 6-0 on Saturday and then I feel differently about that, but I sense it'll be not a great kind of perfect performance on Saturday. I think it's just a case of winning. I think we'll win by a couple of goals. A clean sheet would be nice because we've only had one in our last 8 matches, which is pretty unthinkable for Celtic. Surely we've never had a run like that for a long time. 1 clean sheet in 8 matches.
07-08, I remember that was a horror one. It was like 13 or 14 games, and we brought in Bobo Balde out the cold, and we kept a clean sheet.
Dundee United away.
Yeah, we won 2-0. Crazy, but that's the only one I can remember.
I think I've told you this before. This is way off topic, but me and a good mate of ours have this. Is it Mandela effect? They call it that Bobo Balde had a spell at Dundee United after he left Celtic, and we can picture him. Can anyone else go with this? Please tell me if I'm talking absolute nonsense. But
yeah,
we both turned to each other without any kind of conversation one day and said, "Yeah, Balde definitely went to Dundee United after leaving Celtic." And I don't know if it's just that match in our head, but it's the fact we can both picture Bobo Balde in a Dundee United kit after leaving Celtic. I don't know what is going on, but that is a Mandela effect.
That's a good topic though, a Mandela effect among others viewers of the channel. That's quite a good topic for the international break, Hamish, when there'll be not a lot to talk about. So I'm just putting ideas in your head here.
Yeah, I've got a few actually. Anyway, Stevie, thank you for your time. Check Stevie out on GigPod. Everyone, the link is in the description.
It's rubbish.
Okay. Don't do that then. Listen to the man. Don't do that. Listen, thanks everyone for tuning in once again. Hopefully you've been able to put up with Stevie's moaning on today's video. I'll be back this time tomorrow to look ahead further to St Johnstone, predicted lineups, any other news that comes out between now and then. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We're close-ish to 4,000 subscribers. Speak to you tomorrow.